The Watts Rebellion, sometimes called the Watts Riots, erupted on August 11, 1965, in the heart of Los Angeles. What began as a single traffic stop spiraled into 6 days of chaos, leaving 34 people dead, more than 1,000 injured and nearly 4,000 arrested. By the time the smoke cleared, over 1,000 buildings had been destroyed, damage that would cost the city an estimated $40 million. But how could one seemingly ordinary evening in Watts ignite an uprising that shook the nation? It started with a pair of stepbrothers, Marquette and Ronald Fry. Around 7 p.m., a white California Highway Patrol officer pulled them over near Avalon Boulevard and 116th Street. Marquette failed a sobriety test. The fear of going to jail consumed him, and when the officer moved in to arrest him, a struggle broke out. Ronald stepped in, part protest, part protection. As tension mounted, a crowd began to gather. Backup officers arrived, assuming hostility, and their heavy-handed response only fanned the flames. Riot batons struck, fists flew, and the arrest turned into a spectacle of violence. Even their mother, Rena, who rushed in believing her sons were being brutalized, was dragged away in handcuffs. The crowd, now hundreds strong, seethed with anger. Sirens pierced the air as more officers descended, wielding batons and shotguns to hold back the masses. Then came another spark. A woman named Joyce Gaines, accused of spitting on an officer, was pulled violently from the crowd. Many believed she was pregnant. That single moment electrified the fury already boiling over. By 7:45 p.m. the neighborhood was on fire, literally and figuratively. Bottles and rocks rained down. Cars stalled and traffic became targets. And in those first minutes, the Watts Rebellion had truly begun. The night after the Fry arrests, the tension detonated. Crowds armed with rocks and bricks stormed the streets of Watts. White motorists were dragged from their cars, beaten, and left as grim reminders of the fury spreading through Los Angeles. The following morning, a desperate attempt was made to restore calm. Community leaders, pastors, officials, and representatives from the NAACP gathered alongside police. Even Rena Fry, just released on bail with her sons, pleaded for peace. Yet the meeting soon unraveled. One by one, residents voiced their anger. Decades of abuse, humiliation, and mistreatment by police and city officials boiled to the surface. Then came a chilling proclamation. A teenager seized the microphone and declared that rioters would carry the fight into white neighborhoods of Los Angeles. The atmosphere, already electric, now threatened to explode beyond Watts. Meanwhile, the city's police chief, William H. Parker, dismissed calls to deploy more black officers to ease tensions. Instead, he prepared to summon the National Guard. When word spread of his decision, and when news outlets broadcast the teenager's defiant speech, the rebellion surged to new heights. That night, Watts descended into chaos. Fires lit up the skyline as mobs clashed with police, torching cars, looting stores, and hurling bricks at firefighters who struggled to contain the infernos. By the end of the third day, the rebellion spanned a staggering 50 square miles of Los Angeles. 14,000 National Guardsmen marched into the city, erecting barricades and facing down snipers, raiders, and Molotov cocktails. Watts was no longer a neighborhood, it was a battlefield. Chief Parker only inflamed matters further. He mocked the rioters as monkeys in a zoo, and fueled fears by suggesting Muslims had infiltrated the uprising. As dawn broke on the rebellion's final day, violence began to fade, but the scars deepened. Police encircled a mosque, unleashing gunfire and arresting those inside. Officers stormed the building next door, tear-gassing sewers to block escape routes. 2 mysterious fires soon consumed the mosque itself. The arrestees were released. Charges quietly vanished. But the Muslim community charged the police with using the rebellion as cover to erase their place of worship. The Watts Rebellion had burned through 6 days of terror. Yet its flames revealed truths the city could no longer ignore. When the smoke finally lifted over Los Angeles, the toll of the Watts Rebellion was grim. 34 people were dead, most of them black residents. Among the casualties were 2 policemen and a firefighter. 26 deaths, largely at the hands of the LAPD or National Guard, were ruled justifiable homicides. In the aftermath, the state established a commission to uncover the causes of the uprising. It recommended sweeping reforms, better schools, improved housing, fairer employment, expanded healthcare, and a fundamental reset in how police engaged with the community. But little of it ever materialized. Instead, Watts found its own way forward. Out of the ashes, grassroots activism began to take root. Former street gang members transformed themselves into community protectors, aligning with the Black Panther Party to rebuild their neighborhoods and hold police accountable. A new voice of resistance had emerged, born directly from the fire. But what truly caused the Watts Rebellion? It was not an isolated eruption. Across America in the mid-1960s, cities burned. In 1964 alone, Rochester, New York, saw 3 days of bloodshed that left 4 dead. Harlem and Bedford-Stuyvesant exploded after the shooting of a young black man. Philadelphia rioted after a black couple clashed with police. Chicago rose in fury when a shopkeeper attacked a black woman accused of stealing alcohol. Some insisted outside agitators were behind the unrest in Watts. But the truth was written into the daily lives of its people. Long before 1965, the neighborhood had been simmering. In 1961, the arrest of a black man in Griffith Park, for nothing more than riding a merry-go-round without a ticket, sparked rock-throwing crowds. In 1962, a brutal police raid on a Nation of Islam mosque ended with an unarmed man dead, and protests swept the streets. In the 2 years leading up to the rebellion, 65 black residents were shot by police, 27 in the back, 25 unarmed. And in that same period, more than 250 demonstrations erupted over living conditions in Watts. The rebellion was not spontaneous. It was inevitable. The Watts Rebellion became a turning point, exposing deep cracks in America's promise of equality. To this day, it remains both a warning and a mystery, how close a city can come to collapse when injustice is allowed to smolder unchecked. But the flames of the Watts Rebellion were not the end. Across the nation, unrest spread like a shadow. On August 12, just 1 day after tensions ignited in Watts, Chicago's Garfield Park neighborhood erupted in 3 days of violence following the tragic death of Dessie Mae Williams in a fire truck ladder accident. The years that followed brought more turmoil. Chicago again was scarred by fire bombings, riots, and killings. In 1967, Detroit exploded in one of the deadliest uprisings in American history, 43 lives lost in just 5 days. And in 1992, nearly 3 decades after Watts, Los Angeles once again burned. The acquittal of 4 police officers charged in the brutal beating of Rodney King unleashed another wave of destruction. 63 people were killed. Billions in damages. A stark reminder that the wounds exposed in 1965 had never truly healed. The Watts Rebellion was not just an event, it was a warning. A reminder that the struggle against injustice, inequality, and systemic racism would not vanish with time, but return again and again, like an echo through American history. If you found this story compelling, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to History Love, and ring the bell so you never miss our deep dives into the most fascinating and haunting moments of the past. History Love is your go-to channel for exploring the hidden truths and unforgettable stories that shaped our world.